Am I still muted? Oh, man alive. That's user error at the bottom of the screen. There was a setting that was clicked that shouldn't have been clicked. Awesome. All right. So anyway, what I'm showing you here, this is, unfortunately, I was trying to explain that wave, that shelf rolling in. Man, now there's a ton of lightning with it. Now you can see me. Sarah, Susan, I'm so sorry. That's a bummer. That's a big bummer. Anyway, thanks for the heads up. What I'm talking about, what I was talking about, or at least trying to show you, couldn't hear me, but this where it was the rain. I mean, it's not severe. There's no damage with it. There's no warnings or anything. There are some marine warnings for boaters out on Lake Erie because this is a big concern for them. If anybody's going to be out on the water for the next couple of hours, don't let it pass, and then you can go out, and you've got several hours of some dry time before this afternoon's thunderstorms try to roll in. So this is it. This is the heavy rain that's rolling in. Look at all the lightning with it. 600, almost 700 strikes with this cluster right here. And the bulk of it, you've got this wave up over the lake, but the bulk of the lightning is right here from Sandusky back to Oak Harbor. Man, that's a bunch of lightning. That's a ton of lightning. This should be pushing through pretty quickly. Let's see if we can. It's Monday morning, Susan. You're right about that. Yeah. All right. So make sure you're not muted. If anybody's still having some sound issues, I fixed what I was doing wrong. I didn't notice that somebody clicked a setting. So Melissa, if you can't hear me still, then make sure I'm turned up. Rolling at Erie County Fair. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's this line. Big time rain, big time lightning. Nothing severe. If this was severe, we'd have a total different tone to this live stream. But I want to talk about today, I want to talk about tomorrow, I want to talk about Wednesday. We got a lot going on. This right here is some heavy rain. I'll throw the velocity on here. It's pretty far from the radar, so we're not going to get a good idea. But there's not a lot with it. Most of it's out up over the lake, at least the big wind. There's your one burst peak gust of 60. That's up over the lake. So that's why there's the marine warnings in effect. So just be careful. Again, it's not a good time to be out on the lake, out on the water. Oh, do I have? Oh, goodness gracious. Let's go here. Here's Cleveland's. That's what we want to show you. We had Cleveland's. There it is. Man. These settings were all out of whack. There's your wind. There's your wind. Up over the lake. So there's less friction out over the lake, less trees, less hills, less everything. So winds can really get cranking out over the lake. We're getting some gusts. I mean, these are elevated, but there's some pretty strong gusts out here. I wouldn't be surprised if there does eventually end up being some warnings with this activity. More wind than it looked like. Pushing through Sandusky, Huron. I mean, look at the lightning with this. This thing is lit up. Almost 700 strikes. This is a loud storm. Rick, is this going to make it to Akron? Just like Rick did. Just like Rick did. If you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in. We can pop them right there on the corner of your screen there. This line right here, it's tough to say, honestly. I don't necessarily... There's so much moisture. So much moisture. So even if you don't get this line, which, I mean, you look at Akron, you look at this line developing, it's building. It was all way north, and it's building farther and farther south because there's just so much humidity. There's so much moisture around. It's available. It's just fuel waiting to get burned up, right? So there's a lot of that going on. So there's a lot of fuel south and inland. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of this does make it all the way to Akron. It'll be a while. I mean, Akron is 60 miles away, so it'll probably be a couple hours, 2 hours before it gets there. Wayne County, Shar, same thing for West Wayne County, West Salem, Wayne County, not West Wayne County. But yes, this one, it's tough. So essentially, and I'm going to take you back to our future cast here, and I can walk you through it. I'm going to have to walk down and get my clicker in a second because I forgot it in the weather studio. The models are not doing great with this. Look at it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that one because that's not. The ones from this morning were actually on it. Let's see if we can show you those. Ashton Beulah, Melissa, you got some time to go. You got some time to waste, or not waste, but you got some time to wait. All right, so here's this morning's run. See how it brings it through? Still is not doing a great job, but it's bringing it through. Berlin King, what is the criteria for a storm to be considered severe? And severe, in quotes there, it means damage, right? What damage? If it's a severe storm, it's a damaging thunderstorm. It's just a super sciencey way to say it's damaging. So severe thunderstorms produce damage, and the criteria for that is 58 mile per hour winds, so 60 mile per hour gusts essentially, or 1-inch hail. It doesn't matter if there's one strike or 1,000 strikes. Doesn't matter. You just have to have wind of about 60, so 58 miles per hour, and 1-inch size hail. I'm going to go back in time and show you an older run here that did a lot better. This is kind of a behind the scenes look at what's going on, but here we go. All right, so here's that line rolling in. It's behind schedule, but look how much it develops it. That's aggressive. Look how much it develops it as it gets towards like the late hours of the morning. So you've got some heavy rain with that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see it do that exactly at 11 o'clock, but at least it's showing the trend of what the potential is. What's up, man? Yes. So we're good? Cool. Thank you. Man, can I ask you a favor of you? Yes. My clicker on the desk? Yes. You want to go get it for me? Yeah. Oh, man, thank you. Douglas is the man. He's one of our production gurus, reminding me that I can put this in. So whenever they're recording stuff in the other studio, it's confusing and distracting, to say the least, to have it in my ear. I can hear the directors and the producers and everybody, and the anchors when they're doing news stories in the other studio, which they were just doing. So anyway, so that's done. So let's get to it. Let's start talking about the radar. Let's talk about what's going on. Nothing severe, but it's close. It's very close. You can throw base velocity on here. I'll take the lightning off. and you've got 60-mile-per-hour gusts out over the lake. You get a couple gusts that are close. I mean, here's where we are. Man, thank you. Appreciate it. So now I can do all the weather from right here. We can what's it called? We can multicast, essentially. We can keep this stream up. I can still do the weather, and I can advance the graphics when we're on TV in about 8 minutes here when we've got our next little cut in. So we should be good to go. All right. So we've got some wind, some big wind. These storms are strong. What do we got here? Are there any tornado warnings expected with the storms? Diane, not with this stuff this morning. It's not very organized. It doesn't look like your supercells. It doesn't look like we're getting that kind of an action. I can't rule it out for later on today, especially south of, realistically south of. It's kind of a tough call. The farther south you are, the better shot you have it. Better shot you have. Kevin, yeah, right? Foo Fighters concert, yes. We talked about it a ton this morning on the air on Good Morning Cleveland. And you bet there's going to be a ton of people, tens of thousands of people. There's still tickets available, which blows my mind that there's still tickets available, and they're like $50. I think you're going to get some rain. There's no doubt about that, but I don't think it's going to be a washout by any means. I think it's going to be maybe a brief burst of some rain earlier in the day as opposed to later. It's so hard. I'm going to show you what's going on. It's so hard with this kind of pattern. None of the models do well, and every hour you get new model runs, it looks totally different. It looks completely separate, completely different. So this activity is all along a front. This wave rolling through, this wave rolling through. We'll put it in motion. And well, actually, I'm going to show you the last like 12 hours because that's going to show kind of the story of what's going on. Let me get this off here. Okay, so here's your line. That line rolled through last night. This one right here was another little wave, a weaker wave, but it was too close to the other one, so it just ran out of fuel. This one, a little more put together, broke apart in the middle, moving to the north, gets back into that untapped air with some of that moisture, and we're starting to see it build a little bit farther to the south. Meanwhile, this one, look at that's just doing right in the wake of it. So you can see the flow is essentially from northwest to southeast, or pretty much west to east. And you're seeing things like this just kind of develop. They find some fuel, they burn it out, and then they fade away. So that's sort of the forecast, is we're going to be able to watch these thunderstorms developing west of us. The little curveball we get for us this afternoon is just the way like these storms just started developing within the last few hours. I think we're going to get in on some afternoon storms that just develop over the period of a time. So we're going to have to watch it. We're going to have to watch it. I tried commenting on YouTube. The comments turned off. Yes, I am. Let me see if I can. It's not something that I can do. It's something that our digital folks can do. And I'm going to see if we can do that. Thank you for reminding me, because the comments are what's kind of where it's at. It's kind of what makes this. Kind of what makes this work. Christy, good morning. Will Stowe be getting any of these storms? By the way, I'm watching on TV and here on Facebook. Audio is very low on TV. We'll turn it up. Turn it up. Gotta love live. Yes. No. So thanks for watching both. So we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and I'm going to be on not streaming, but I'll be on live TV as well. That's coming up in about 3 minutes here. Jim, do you have me? Do I have you? There you are. Cool. I just want to make sure I was plugged in. Thank you. Thank you very much. So Caitlin is going to do traffic. If you want to see the traffic report, turn your TV on, and you can see that if you want to, and then I'll do weather right after it. Will you be live much today? Shar. Whoop. Shar. It depends. Not necessarily all day. I don't expect, we've got a lot of dry time in between these systems. Sorry, I'm just kind of plugging my microphone cord in here. I'm going to lose the shirt, or the jacket rather. I do not expect this to be live all day. I do expect this to be live at times. I'll probably be live here streaming this for the next hour or so, maybe 2 hours, honestly, before this tries to fade away and get out of here. And then later on today, when those other storms try to pop up, Phil will be in. Katie is off today. Phil will be in, and we'll be streaming. He was streaming last night. Yeah, no, absolutely. The questions are great. Thank you. Ray, thank you. Best ties. It's a blue tie, man. What's the... I don't even know. I appreciate it, though. All right, so let's get back into it. Ray said I have the best ties, so thank you. Let's dive back into it. Throw the lightning on here. Oh, that's 12 hours. I forgot I still had the last 12 hours on here, and I saw this line rolling in and got a little confused because we were just watching it, right? Where's the lightning? Where's everything at? All right, let's get back to the last hour. Show you where we're at, while we're streaming this stuff, and there's still so much lightning with this. It's so unorganized. That's why these storms can't get that strong. There's a ton of fuel. Don't get me wrong, there's so much moisture around. There's a ton of stuff going on in the atmosphere. The problem is there's almost too much, and there's nothing organized. There's no big cold front that's going to wipe through and just create these huge thunderstorms. So it's just kind of watching, random clusters roll through. Here's one coming through this morning. This will roll through Lorain counties next. Erie and Huron counties getting hit with some heavy rain right now. That is getting dumped on right now. That's some big time rain. Quite a bit of lightning as well. And don't forget about some of the purples you're seeing. Near Willard, that might have some hail in it. That very well may have some hail in it. When you start seeing colors like that, it's possible. Not showing up. There it is. Yeah, there's that purple. That's the potential for hail. All right, Caitlin is doing traffic right now, so I got to jump over here. Marblehead looks so much better. So much better. All right. Yeah, and you're saying it's getting dark in Cleveland. Meanwhile, I've been on this stream, and we've been showing this storm roll through Marblehead, where it got super dark, tons of lightning, tons of rain, and now you're on the other side of it. So it's going to roll through relatively quickly. Let me show you where we are right now. Most of us are actually pretty dry. It's just getting cloudier and darker as this line's rolling in out ahead of the main line. So Norwalk through Sandusky, all the way up into Lake Erie. And here's Marblehead back here, Catawba back here on the backside of the heavy stuff. Probably going to get in on some gusts, 50 to 60 miles per hour. No warnings with this yet, but it's possible, especially when you start looking at the southern areas. You can see right there, just pushing near like the Willard area, there's the potential for some hail when you get some of those purples showing up in there. We're watching it. We're streaming it on Facebook, YouTube. I'm on my Instagram page also. It's vertical, so it might not look right, but we're there. Just know that for the rest of the morning, we'll be tracking this line as it rolls through. Strong storms, heavy rain, tons of lightning. The flood threat will be elevated. And then watch what happens later on this afternoon. We're going to start to see a few more of these thunderstorms trying to build. So if you got afternoon plans today or even plans tomorrow as well, plan on waves of storms. You bet. We'll be streaming it. All right, so hopefully that answered a lot of questions. Yes, the marine warnings are going to trigger your weather radios for sure, especially if you're like near the lake shore. Good morning, Diane. What time will it hit Geauga County? Jacques Wilt Bowling? Jackie? I'm not good with names. I'm sorry. Geauga County, you've still got some hours, maybe 2 hours, hour and a half. It's moving pretty quick. It's moving actually very quick. And if you've ever seen any of my streams or any of these streams, I'll show you how I find, because a lot of the times you'll get information from like the computers that'll tell you how fast these things are going. The best way that I've ever, that I've been doing for like 20 years is you draw a line at the beginning, you draw a line at now, and measure the distance over an hour. So that's roughly 45 miles per hour. We'll say, we'll just 40 to 45 miles per hour. So that's cruising in like storm terms, right? So now we're going to put a track on it. Now we can show you where it's going and when it's going to get there. So the leading edge, clouds, yes, clouds already trying to roll in. It will drop it down to just under 45. It puts it in. There's that warning. I told you I wouldn't be surprised. There's that warning. Because the gusts are upwards of around 60 miles per hour. Again, I don't issue the warnings, but I can get on here and I can tell you my thoughts. And over decades of doing this, you know it's coming. All right, so it puts it in South Amherst at 8:07 Amherst. Oh, let me get out of the way here. I am covering it up. Puts it in Brighton, 8:10. Oberlin, 8:10. Same thing, Pittsfield at 8:12. 5 minutes later, Wellington, Elyria, and Sheffield. So that's where, here's where it is. Not as much lightning as there was with it even 5 minutes ago. Still a lot. If anybody is on YouTube and wants to submit a question on YouTube or a comment, I think it's working now, and I think you can do that. Should be good to go. But yeah, here we go. Tons of lightning. I'm actually going to put this out. I guess I don't even really need to because I'm streaming it live. I was going to. Oh, man. State Route 303 and Quarry Road in Pittsfield. We just talked about tracking this toward Pittsfield. This is my buddy Patrick. I don't know if this will work or not. That's some heavy rain rolling in. So right there, this side, that's your rain shaft that we saw you rolling through like the Marblehead camera. So yeah, big time. Big time rain. And wind. So the orange flash you see behind me, this is a severe thunderstorm warning. Yep, YouTube's working. So yeah, test comment on YouTube. Appreciate it, Jack. All right, so thunder rolling through Strongsville. YouTube comments are coming in. So if I don't issue the warning, so the National Weather Service issues the warnings. They have radars. They have the same radar we look at here. Same education, same experience, same everything. They're a great partnership, I can't issue them. If I see something and I think they might be missing it, but they're usually not, then I can give them a call, shoot them a message, and kind of tip them on it or something. But that's hasn't happened in a long time. Not to say that it hasn't happened, but it hasn't happened in a long time, at least not here in Cleveland. So yeah, no. So do we piggyback off their radar scans? Not necessarily. It's a partnership. They maintain the radars and everything, the radars that everybody has. But we all have access to it. It's government information, right? Thunder rolling in Strongsville. There's your YouTube comment. Susie, thank you very much for that. Thunder in Strongsville, you might be hearing it. So that's interesting you say that you can hear thunder in Strongsville because the storm, look at that, 23 miles away. So lightning can strike 30 miles away from a storm. So I want to put that in perspective. Whenever I say when thunder roars go indoors, that's why. Look at that strike right there in Elyria. It's just a couple little sprinkles out ahead of it. So just because you're not getting rained on, just because you think, man, that's crazy in Elyria. From the main line, it's 12 miles away. That's proof that whenever we say when thunder roars go indoors, if you're close enough to hear it, you're close enough to get struck by it. I mean, there's 12 miles could easily strike in the Strongsville area. So if you can hear thunder, it's time to bring things inside. Thankfully, there's no like bus stops or anything like that this morning. There's nobody going to school yet. Berea also getting loud rumbles. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. There's so much lightning with this system that's rolling in. And as far as the wind, I can pop this on here. I'll take the lightning off so we can see what's going on. And the reason this was issued, probably because of wind. It doesn't matter, like I said earlier, it doesn't matter if there's one strike or a million strikes in a thunderstorm. You have to have certain criteria, and that's 58-mile-per-hour winds or more and 1-inch size hail. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some pretty big hail with this also. Out over the lake, there's your almost 70-mile-per-hour winds. Man. Yeah, that's gusty. So there it is. Your phones are probably going off. Quite dark here in downtown Elyria. Yeah, Michael, you've got a few minutes before that storm rolls in. Now, this is something else, another... And let me do this. Storm velocity, put it at 43. Okay, so this is another tool that we have here. So Elyria, there you go, 10 minutes. 7.5 miles away, you're about 10 minutes away. Bay Village, 20 minutes away. Actually, that's not even, I didn't even make it all the way to Bay Village. There you go, Bay Village, right at like the county line, 25 minutes away. Cleveland, about 40 minutes away. Oberlin, you've got a couple minutes to go, but we had a question about Strongsville. You can hear it. You're about 30 minutes away, 20 miles away. So yeah, big time rain and some pretty strong winds with it as well. Here's an option we can put in here, which tends to exaggerate sometimes how much hail. But yeah, you get the potential for 1-inch hail. I wouldn't expect anything bigger than 1-inch hail, but up to 1 inch, totally doable. It's tough to get big hail at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's very tough to get big hail at this early in the morning. All right, so there's that warning. It does include Cleveland. It does include Parma, Strongsville, Berea. It includes essentially the western 2/3 of Cuyahoga County. Look at that rolling through. I'm going to put a track on the leading edge of the whole leading edge here. Now, this is... I'll go up here so we can include like Avon Lake and Sheffield and everybody along the lake shore. But this is, go back to about 43. It was between 40 and 45. So there's the line. There's your timer. If you're in Avon Lake, expect it at 8:18. If you're in Avon, a couple minutes later, but relatively right around the same time. Same thing for North Ridgeville, just a little bit farther south on the line. And then Eaton, Grafton, within a couple minutes of each other. Bay Village, about 8:27. That's about the time we tracked it out to earlier as well. About 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. Can barely hear me. I don't know what's going on. Maybe turn it up a little bit. Jackie, sorry. Thank you. The QUE, it got me. It threw me off. All right, so you need to go to the DMV in Chardon. Birthday week. Happy birthday, Jackie. Happy birthday. Just wait it out a little bit. Wait it out a little bit, and I think you're going to be fine. This will roll through. This will roll right on through. So behind it, there's more thunderstorms, but not, I mean, there's so much. It's kind of what I was saying this morning is that once these waves roll through, this isn't a washout of a day. I know you're looking at your apps and it's telling you, 80, 90, 100% chance to rain. Yeah, everybody's going to get rain likely today, but not all day long. Even on our 7-day forecast, I've got 80%. Yeah, everybody's going to get rain, but not all day. And it's coming at us in waves. So there's dry time in between each wave. Same thing for tonight. This afternoon I got another wave in tonight as well. Damage possible with each wave. Coming in waves and damage possible are essentially the same forecast for today and tomorrow. Wednesday, we might just have our last wave, our last round of thunder try to roll through before we try to dry it out more so Thursday and Friday. But these systems, what's happening with it is you've got this stalled out boundary that just doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't do anything. So these little waves just ride down, and it's just wave after wave after, very unorganized. It's very hard to get anything super strong in with this activity, but it definitely warrants us to keep a close eye on what's going on. Let's get back into this because I do have another Good Morning America cut-in coming up in probably a few minutes here, 5 or so minutes. And so we're going to just talk about this severe thunderstorm warning. Isn't the stream great? Beforehand, I would have had to do all kinds of different things to let you know these storms are coming. Probably couldn't have done it on live TV, right? It would have been very difficult to tell everybody 30 minutes before these were issued, because at 7:30 we're streaming this, right? Before 8 a.m., 30 minutes before they were issued, that we've got winds that are gusting upwards of around 60, and that we were looking at this line roll through here. Because we can do this on our stream. We can do this on our Roku channel. If you were on earlier, but before it got officially started, we can take it onto our Roku and onto our app, and we can just send this stream everywhere. So now that we're not kind of restricted by like airwaves, by TV stuff, then it's very cool. It's very cool. All right, just read a couple comments. It's through Sandusky, Erie County Fair. Not a lot of acres. Are you there? Yeah, it looks like Sandusky, Erie County. Looks like there's still some lightning. There's still some rumbles on the back side of it. Still be careful. I know you're talking about the county fair. Still be careful. Be very careful. But that should be fading away. This system should weaken, should slide east and get out of here, followed by another round just a little bit farther to the west. Probably not going to hit the same areas. Once this rolls through, this air behind it, still humid, still saturated, right? But it's been kind of worked over. It's going to be a little bit capped, essentially. It's going to be like putting a lid on a boiling pot of water. If you want to see what's behind it, it won't be as defined, the radar being that zoomed out, but here's another cluster. see how this is. All right, so watch the last couple scans. This was rolling this direction, right? Kind of rolling right up and along. The last couple scans is just like, whoop, sliding south because this is looking for fuel. We just had this line roll through here and just eat up all this energy. So this is going to start to build a little farther to the south. So that's why earlier we had a question about Akron. Is this going to make its way to Akron? Well, this line right here, the southern tip, it's tough to say. It's close, but it's tough to say. Behind it, there's another line. So if you don't get with this one, the next one. And then by this afternoon, there's going to be more that develops. So it's just going to be one of those days where we're just watching what's going on. Beautiful morning sky following the line. Oh, let's we can pull up the Marblehead Oh, we're back. Let's go. All right. Lost a few folks. We're back. All right, so here we go. We're back. Let's talk about it. We've got a quick little cut-in coming up on GMA. Had to do something real quickly, but we're back. We're getting after it. And this is what we're going to watch. This line roll in here. This is the line I'm watching, the severe thunderstorm warning. Been on here for about a little less than an hour here talking about how this does have the potential to get stronger as it rolls through. And yeah, tons of lightning. Had a question. Are there specific conditions that define the rate of weakening of a storm? So the rate of, you'll see the lightning kind of back off quite a bit. You can see other storms that will interfere with the inflow of it. But there's no real, not for the rate of weakening, no. All right, quick Good Morning America cut in right here. All right, thanks a lot, Ginger. We're tracking severe thunderstorms, this rolling through right here. I've been streaming it on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram as well, watching this well before it was strong enough to be damaging. Now, the potential for 60-mile-per-hour gust embedded in that is still there, so it's something I'm going to watch closely for the next probably hour or so as this continues to roll right on through Avon Lake, Westlake, North Olmsted, Berea, Strongsville. Tons of lightning with this also. Hey, Perko, can you go ahead and take me off main? Thank you. All right, here we go. All right, let's get back into the stream, everybody. Let's show you what we have going on. Oh, and the power is flickering. Heavy rain, thunder, lots of thunder. Oh, yeah, in Lorraine. All right, so Lulu. Linda, yes, tons of lightning with this. Let's get into Lorain County. We'll show you where this is going. So the warning does include northern Lorain County and pretty much the western 2/3 of Cuyahoga County. That's it. I mean, that's a big burst of some heavy rain and lightning. Now, the rain and the lightning isn't why the severe thunderstorm warning is in effect. That's essentially. Sorry, I'm getting lots of information going around. Anyway. It's all to do with, that's what I was talking about. All right, so it's all to do with the wind and hail. Not expecting a bunch of hail with this, maybe up to 1 inch, but more or less it's the wind out ahead of this main line trying to roll through. So that's our biggest concern. That's our biggest, our biggest concern realistically is this line that's rolling through. So pushing into Rocky River, not Rocky River, but Bay Village, Westlake, and then sliding south toward Wellington. That's the leading edge of that line. I can throw the velocity on here again. I'll pause it. Take the lightning off so we can see what's happening in all this. Not a lot of wind south, but there is quite a bit of wind pushing into Westlake, pushing through Avon right now. Quite a bit of wind with that. So that's something that we got to keep a close eye on, is the amount of wind that we're going to see in addition to the rain and the lightning. Again, the rain and the lightning is not necessarily something that's going to create the warning, but it is definitely the wind. And I live in Avon, and I just pulled up the old camera here, and it's trash day, and my recycle bin is pushing towards the neighbor's yard. Anyway, so big wind out there. Be careful. You're trying to drive to work in this activity. Let's see here. Meredith in Westlake just said wind is insane as well. No hail, but yes, very windy. Yeah, I'm not necessarily expecting a bunch of really much of any hail out there. Could this cause a tornado in Cleveland? No. Latasha, no, it's not. It's not quite like that. There's no. You got to get a little bit of organization. It will look for like little notches in there, but the wind isn't really feeding it. Sometimes when you get a line like this, you'll get like little notches like that'll indicate maybe a little bit of inflow, but when you look at the velocity, it's not showing up there. So I'm not going to rule it out, but it's not likely. Yeah, planes taking off at Hopkins still. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. They're going to take off until they can't. The radar site right here, that is where the airport is. So they're going to take off until that rolls in and they can't take off. Planes are built to withstand lightning. It's called a Faraday cage. So the lightning goes around it. Same thing with a car. If you're in a car, you're pretty safe from lightning because it can strike the car and it goes straight to the ground, right? So the planes are built to where the lightning goes around the people inside and through it. So for the most part. No wind in Sheffield. No wind in Sheffield. Right on the back side of it, that wind probably just went to the south. Okay. 30 seconds out from a Good Morning America hit, or a TV5 on TV hit, a WWS hit there. So that is something to look at. All right, so Caitlin's talking right now. If you're watching the news, if you're watching TV, flip your TV on and see that real quick. You can see what she's talking about with some ODOT cameras. And I will show you some ODOT cameras as soon as we hop out of this. But visibility is going to go down quite a bit as this line rolls through. Yeah, and it's crazy to think that all morning, for the last hour at least, I've been streaming this on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram also. I've been watching this line as it's rolled through, and we've been talking about the potential for heavy rain and a ton of lightning. I'll show you the track on there for your lightning. Look at that. It's over 600 strikes, which is down a little bit, but that's still a lot of lightning. The issue with the warning and why the National Weather Service issued that warning is because of the wind. We had winds that were gusting about 60 miles per hour from Sandusky all the way through like Lorain County. And then once it worked its way in, let's see how it just kind of faded away a little bit there. It is getting close to the radar site, so we're going to get a little interference. But as far as the wind threat, the wind damage in there, that's the biggest concern with this round. Heavy rain, a ton of lightning, and some wind coming off the lake. Now, if you want more information, hop over to Facebook. Follow me, follow News 5, hop over to Instagram or YouTube. I'm streaming this right now, both screens. All right, clear on TV. So we should get some more people coming in here and we can talk about this stuff with no restrictions on TV. Port Lorraine captured a nice shelf cloud. Yes, like 20 minutes ago. So we were looking at that roll through like Marblehead also. So super cool shelf cloud, and that shelf cloud, that shelf that rolls in, is a big indication of straight line winds, straight line wind. So that's a big thing. Real quick, I wanted to, yes, so National Weather Service gave this storm a tornado possible tag. So they started doing that for sure. Of course, it's going to be possible. Can't rule it out. But we got a little flood advisory in there with this heavy rain. We've had so much rain, not at one time, but it's been, or not like spread out, not like for a whole day, but it's just been like bursts of rain here. So yeah. All right, so what we were talking about was with the tornado possible tag. So if you go to the National Weather Service website and you get the information, I think I can pull this over here. That might, well, I don't think that's going to be it. Wrong computer. Let me, I've got 4 computers open out here. So if you go to the National Weather Service, what he's talking about there is under their severe thunderstorm warning, at the very bottom, if you're looking at the comments, at the very bottom, it says tornado possible at the tag on the bottom. So hail threat, not really. Wind threat, yeah, 60. That's exactly what we're talking about. And we had questions about the tornado, the possibility of a tornado. It's not likely by any means, but it's something that you can't necessarily rule out when you get winds like that. So that's what that comment was talking about. The National Weather Service has a tornado possible tag. There's no indication of one. There's nothing likely that's going to be one, but it is something that that we're always looking at. All right, so yes, Linda, that was quick, right? So that was a quick 1 minute. We're so restricted on time. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate the compliments. Weather in Lorain County. Sawyer, well, you're pretty much on the back side of it now. So if you're in Lorain or Elyria or Vermilion, Oberlin, you're on the back side. The wind threat is down. There's still a bunch of lightning around. There's still a ton of lightning around. But as far as additional damage from wind or anything like that, it's not likely. Look at the lightning, though. Man alive, is that lit up. That is a cluster. Now, it's interesting because it's behind the main edge. So you're going to get this darkening before the lightning even rolls in. There's so much lightning on the backside of that. Let's see if I have, where I have a camera. I don't have access to the Lorain County or the Lorain Palace Theater camera anymore. I do have access to Vermilion. You can just hear the thunder outside our studio here. Trying to see if there's some lightning on the back side of this. All right, so here's Vermilion. So Katie Usin just texted. She lives in Rocky River. Terrible sudden wind in River. Very damaging, along with a ton of rain, but it's mostly these really strong damaging gusts. So yeah, that's the reason why that severe thunderstorm warning is issued. So yeah, Vermilion, pretty much done with it other than just a bunch of lightning out there. The question about, we had hail north of Wellington 5 minutes ago. How big was that hail, Stacy? I want to know how big it was, because a lot of this looks like it might have been up to maybe 1 inch, most likely pea or dime size hail, but maybe you got up to 1 inch with that. The biggest concern is just how much rain. Man, there's a lot of wind with it initially also. Again, like I said, the radar is going to give you a little bit of a kind of a feedback. It's going to mess with the data a little bit in there, but you're seeing back on the other sides of it, you're seeing some pretty good, pretty strong wind. There it is. Now that's not necessarily 60, but it's definitely over 50, which is, man, we can hear it here outside. There's your 60 up over the lake. There's 45, 50 mile per hour winds right there. I'm going to open this door. I wish I could show you guys what's going on right side. I can show you what's going on. I do have a camera. Goodness gracious, what am I thinking? I have several cameras right around Cleveland. Jim, thank you. I don't know why I wasn't thinking of this. Here's Cleveland. Just low visibility. We've got a camera on top of Hilton. Just pouring. And big wind also. You can probably hear it on my microphone on the door on the back of the studio here. Huge rain, huge wind. Bunch of branches down all over the place. Katie's saying in Rocky River. Oh my gosh. Can't even open the door. Man. All right, guess I'm not going out that door. It is windy as can be. So try to wait this one out. You can definitely wait this one out. Ask anybody in Lorain County. You waited about 30 minutes, and then now it's much better on the back side of it. So yeah, big time wind, big time rain rolling through, and branches down across Rocky River. Lights went out in Westlake, but returned quickly. Chuck Bracken and in Westlake. Thank you for that. Medina, Teresa, let's pop back in on the radar over here. There's your wind again. Some big wind out there. They just extended the warning, of course, as expected, right? Extended the warning to include Geauga and Lake counties. Doesn't quite include Ashtabula just yet, but that's the line. So you'll see if you're in Lorain County, West Lorain County, you're fine. You're beyond the wind, or at least the damaging threat. Still a lot of lightning, but the wind is backed off quite a bit as well. Cleveland, anybody along really right through the metro? Let's zoom in on it. Let's put a track on it. There's a lot of folks out and about right now. I mean, you got to start your Monday. It's the work week, right? It's moving about 40 miles per hour. Puts it at University Heights at 8:45. Right now it is 8:37. So in about 5 minutes, should make its way to University Heights, Richmond Heights, South Euclid. Valley View at 8:45, Lyndhurst 8:45, Warrensville Heights, Maple Heights, North Royalton at 8:45. North Royalton's on the southern edge of this. Brecksville, Independence, you've got probably 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes before it rolls in. North Randall at 8:46. There's just so much wind and heavy rain. Lulu, you're welcome. You're very welcome. Have a great rest of your day. I think we get a break from this. After this, things are blowing around in Parma right now. Debbie, very much thank you for that. Power just went out in in the Clark-Fulton area. Winds are blowing hard. All right, here's your question. What do I do if I live in Berea? What you do is with a severe thunderstorm warning, you try to get away from windows. You've got big wind. And you wait it out. I'm not looking at any tornadic activity. I'm looking at winds gusting to about 60 miles per hour, which is enough for some big wind, right? It's enough for some trees to maybe come down. It's enough for some damage here and there, but I'm not talking like tornado damage or anything like that. We had a couple comments earlier asking about it. Not expecting that as well. But what you do is you get inside. You take your phone with you. You don't have to be stuck on the TV anymore. You can take your phone with you, and you can just wait it out. If your power goes out, make sure your phone is charged up. We're no longer restricted to that. Power just went out in Parma. Terrific. All right, so we were asking about Medina. Had a couple questions about Medina. Let's throw on the radar here. Let's throw on the reflectivity. Medina's got a bunch of lightning for sure. Most of it is north of you, and you're going to get some heavy rain. If you're talking about like Medina County as a whole, you've got this line that's going to roll on through. Medina specifically, you got a few minutes before that heavy rain rolls in. It's moving about 40 miles per hour. I'll put a tracker, a little time on it for you for Medina, about 10 minutes. Probably less than 10 minutes, realistically, because the radar's always going to be a little bit delayed. But you've got less than 10 minutes before the heavy rain rolls in. Bunch of lightning with it as well. Probably some pretty gusty winds. Not as strong as what's to the north. I'm not talking about winds that are gusting 60 plus miles per hour. I'm not talking bringing trees down or anything, but it is going to be gusty for Medina. Same thing for Brunswick. Lodi, you're in the very southern tip of that, but you do have some, it's quite a bit of lightning and rain. When do we expect the next storm today? Will, great question. After this one rolls out, there's another one right on the heels of it. Let me zoom out and show you where it is. Showing some signs of at least building south, because remember, this has used all the fuel, or a lot of the fuel, along the lakeshore, Toledo, Sandusky. It's using all of this. So this is just going to ride through like Findlay, maybe Mansfield, and farther south. I'm standing by. I'm here. It's 15 seconds. It'll be quick. All right, thanks a lot, Ginger. Tracking severe thunderstorms here. Man, big wind. Trees coming down, branches coming down, talking about blinding rain and a ton of lightning with this. I'm tracking this out on our stream. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Meet me there. All right, clear with that. Clear with that. All right, let's get into it. Here we go. Let's start talking about where this is headed. Let's zoom in on it. We'll go town by town. There's a lot of folks in here. A lot of folks are awake, right? You're awake. You're tracking this out. Pause it right here. Berea, Strongsville, Parma, Brooklyn, Euclid, South Euclid, Shaker Heights, Maple Heights. Sorry, it's rolling in. Like this is it. This is the line rolling in. You're going to get, the reason it does this, the reason it kind of it bulges out like that is because of the wind. It's kind of out pushing the leading edge of this. We can look at your velocity in here, and you're going to see a couple little pockets, those pink colors. See these pinks in here? Right on the leading edge. It's big wind. Ooh, 71. That might be a bit aggressive. Let's see what we have. Yeah, that's a little bit of radar feedback, but it definitely some 60. You see that's kind of a it's messed with that a little bit there. That's just a little feedback on the radar. If I scroll it, you can see how it has issues in that area. Like this is just like it's just not good data. So yeah, definitely winds gusting 60 miles per hour as this rolls in. All right, so how's Pepper Pike looking? Same thing. This whole line is rolling from west to east through Cuyahoga County and into Lake and Geauga counties. Now, you do have a special weather statement for our Summit and Medina counties. You're still going to get some heavy rain and quite a bit of lightning with it, but not quite as much wind with that leading edge. Man, it's really starting to outpush. It's starting to push farther, outpace the rest of the lightning. So when you get stuff like this, look at that line coming in off the lake. That's what I was talking about this morning on Good Morning Cleveland. If you guys were watching, the potential for this storm rolling in here, they just tend to ride the lake. Zoom out, show you the whole line. That's it. I mean, I'm talking about way less, half the lightning it had earlier. So somebody asked earlier, what are some signs? What are some things you can look for when you start to see a storm weakening, right? It's not necessarily like correlating to like how fast or the rate of weakening, but it's a good indication when that lightning cuts from 600 to under 400, 700 earlier, almost, so it was like 690 down to 350. That's half the lightning. Still a lot. Don't get me wrong. There's still a lot of lightning with that, but there's way less than there was, which is a good indication that things are trying to weak. Plus, it's like I said, it's the wind has pushed out ahead of the main core essentially, so it's sort of outpacing itself. That wind should gust itself out, the rain should taper off, and the lightning should continue to fade away. Man, I hear that. That's why we're doing this. That's why we're doing this, to bring people back to reality, bring people back to normal and realistic stuff, reality. Like I said earlier, we hear so many people will talk about just exactly what you read, and you not understand totally what you're reading, which is why I had to explain what the tornado tag was earlier. There's no tornado with any of this stuff, but there's a bunch of wind. So that's my goal here. Unique 216. That's my goal. My total goal is to not freak people out. Not freak people out at all. Inform. That's the goal. So here it is. Heavy rain. Still the biggest concern. I know we've got some wind. I know these warnings are for the wind. But the flood threat, you've still got a flood advisory for Cuyahoga County. You've got all the construction because of how poor things drain, right? The interstates and everything. As a matter of fact, we can probably show you some ODOT cameras here. What do we have here? This is 90 at 77, so this is, coming across the, what are we doing? We got a broke down van on 90. This is 90, 77 comes on right there. That's where 77 comes on. This is 90 coming across the bridge. This is 90 getting back to the bridge, back over the bridge. But yeah, we've got a stalled out van in there. Shelf cloud is now at Lake Metro Park's Farm Park. Hard to see that, but that's the shelf cloud. That's that cloud that everybody saw roll in. This looks like it's frozen up on us, but this is 480 at Grayton. Will this make it to, right? All right, so no, it's not. Not every day nowadays. So the criteria is the same. Criteria never changes for severe. I guess it has changed back in the day, but It's been 58 mile per hour winds, and it's also been 1 inch hail. That's it. Those are the two. Doesn't matter how much rain, doesn't matter how much lightning there is, but if there's wind that's 58 miles per hour, so we'll say 60, or 1 inch size hail, that's the criteria for damage. And that's what we had roll through, or are having right now roll through Cuyahoga County. Much less wind now. Much less wind now. It's just outpaced itself, right? It's spread itself out, so it's not as compact. It was super compact. Remember, 700 strikes of lightning that just rolling through Lorain County. You had this wave coming over the lake. Dumped a bunch of wind as soon as it made its way onshore. I can take you back and show you that line. Look at that line. So you see this? Watch this right here. Watch that, and the whole thing just try to combine. It was so compact. Boom, and it just rolled right on through. Still going to have some wind, still have the potential for some damage. I mean, it's still gusting itself out. Lake Geauga, that's that front, that's that shelf cloud that I just kind of showed you. You got some big wind in that pink right there. This is radar indicated, almost 70. Yeah, those are all almost 70 mile per hour winds. Okay, so there's that big wind rolling through, just kind of updating the newsroom on what's going on. Fairport Harbor, Menor. Let's put a track on the leading edge of this. Any hail estimate for Portage County? It's possible, small hail. Nothing big, nothing major. I haven't had any reports of hail other than like some small hail. But, I mean, with storms like this, hail's not going to be the biggest concern. It's going to be the wind if those storms can get strong enough, and it's going to be the amount of rainfall, sheer rain that rolls through. This puts it in Menor within the next, say 51, so within the next minute or so. About 5 or so minutes for Bainbridge, Concord by 9 o'clock, 9:01 for Chardon. Hamden, 9:06, Burton and Clarendon, both at 9:07. Yeah, tons of thunder. Tons of thunder. Tons. I mean, it is. Zach, any tornado threat? Nah, man, we're good. We're good. It is straight line winds. Maybe later on today, there will be a potential for a tornado with the afternoon thunderstorms to try to build. But with this, it's kind of breaking itself apart too. Well, I'll put this in motion again so you can see. I mean, it looks fluid, right? You can see what's going on with it. You can see how this kind of breaks apart up here. The whole system just kind of pushes out the leading edge right there. Here, watch it push through. Rewind again. It's got a 10-second loop on it. There it is. Watch it just burst right on through there. You see how it starts to push. That's it. That's that push that's giving us all that wind. Rolled right through. Why is every storm severe these days? We just get better. So Linda, they're not. The criteria is the same. We do get better, which is a very good question. Our radar is so much better. That's why we can see in these storms now. Why we can see these little EF zeros and ones on the leading edge of these. If there was a tornado threat, there's not right now with any of this. I'm not seeing it. I'm just looking at this, trying to blast on through, try to push through there. But we can see with dual pole now within the last like 10 or 15 years, 10 years, we can see inside of these storms. We can see where things are going and what they're doing inside of that activity. So, yeah, way better technology. Way better technology. Sire, is Lorain County going to get any more bad weather? Probably this afternoon. There's another wave coming our way for this afternoon that'll build, but you've got several hours for Lorain County to dry things out before that next round rolls in. Well, it's relatively new science, so yes. And then when you get folks trying to do it 5, 10, 15 days out, you get the drift. It's not really reliable. The accuracy, or at least how fine-tuned or how exact you want the forecast to be, really changes quite a bit. So Akshay, yeah. Parma's bad. Salvatore says Parma's bad. Yes. Big rain, probably some big flooding. I mean, it's just, you get into these areas where it's just concrete everywhere. Where's this rain going to go? So yes, we had that initial push of wind. Now Parma's done with the wind, and it's just rain. It's just so much rain still falling. The wind now has made its way. I mean, the lake is still fueling. I mean, you can see, look at it wrapping around the back side of this. You can see I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. 1 minute out. Thank you, Jim. Look at the straight lines. Look at the bands with that. You can see, watch this roll again. See how it just kind of, it's called a meso-low. What it does is you get this air over the lake, and you get the sinking air realistically, and what it's doing is it creates a little low pressure, or rising air rather, and it's pulling this through, and that's what's giving us the fuel to continue to keep this going here. Not much of it south, right? There's not much wind to the south. 30 seconds, thank you. There's not much wind to the south with this line right here. That's just a bunch of rain and lightning. But this, see how it's just pulling that through there? There's your biggest wind right there along the lake shore. All right, so if you are watching on YouTube, yeah, thanks a lot. We've been streaming this, like you said, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, and watching this whole line as it rolls in. Now, the big focus, I want to be very clear. You see how you get these little bands out here? There's a little, it's called a meso-low, a little low that's developing right here, and it's pushing, look at that, it's pushing this wind. We're getting some reports, or at least some radar indications of almost 70-mile-per-hour winds, and I can throw that on here for you. And we had just about that push through Cuyahoga County. Look at the pinks out there. Yeah, those are almost 70-mile-per-hour winds on the leading edge of that, pushing through Lake and northern Geauga County. Now you'll notice National Weather Service issued another warning for parts of Portage and Summit counties, and even Medina County, but there's not a lot of wind with that. There may be some that tries to slide far enough south, but again, the biggest concern, especially near parts of Cuyahoga and Lake Geauga counties, is going to be the wind, followed by the rain and lightning. There's more thunderstorms this afternoon. We're going to dive into that right now with your Futurecast over on the stream. Meet us there. We're so handcuffed by time on TV. That was just a quick little TV hit. I wish I could go into everything because there's so many more viewers on the TV, right? You've got thousands of folks in front of their TVs. That is a lot of wind. That is a lot of wind pushing through Paynesville and Chardon right now. That is a lot of wind. So anyway, I'm so handcuffed by time. I wish I could get into everything, but you just can't. You just can't. It doesn't really, I wish. But that's why we have this. This is great. Fairport Harbor, that line is approaching Fairport Harbor. Look at it bending those trees over. Or not bending them over, but pushing them, right? The windsock behind me here, that's, yeah, not really standing up too much. Might be blocked a little bit. It's standing up at times. You can see this little roof, the little canopy roof, some lightning with it. Foo Fighter concert tonight. Yeah, so here, this is what I want to kind of walk you through this. This is showing the line rolling through. It's a little off, but it's showing the trend, right? It's showing the trend. It's a couple hours delayed, but it shows these thunderstorms still building and moving south into the very juicy air. It's super humid air. So there's no reason these storms are going to fall apart, right? Let's get into the afternoon. On the back side of this, temperatures should rebound back into the low 80s. Thank you. No, I'm good. Just tracking storms. Appreciate it, though. Was there anything I need to tell anybody? We're good, right? Okay. Cool. We're not on Maine. Yeah. So, okay. All right, so here's the line. Sorry. This is the line for this afternoon and evening. You see how this is trying to pop up? Don't expect a thunderstorm in Fremont at 8 o'clock. You might, but it's not what this is for. This is just showing trends of what we have the potential for. And see how it kind of builds. So you can see where that boundary is. Most of this activity is down here. So I think the farther south you are, the better shot. So if you have tickets, talking about the Foo Fighters, you have tickets for the Foo Fighters concert, you're probably going to get some rain, but I don't think you're going to get the bulk of the action. It hasn't started raining in Akron yet. Let's see where we are. I've got an Akron camera. Not that I don't trust you. I just kind of want to show where we're at. Here's the radar. And you are about probably, let's put a track on it. Yeah, probably 10 minutes away. 10 minutes away from rain. Let's pull up. I've got a camera for Akron that I can pull up in here. It's easy, right? Remember when I was showing you downtown earlier? Showing you the Hilton cam? So much better. So much better. This is our back parking lot, our big silo that's looking out the back. How long will it be raining in Euclid? Well, let's get back to the radar because we do have that warning. Almost done in Euclid. At least the heavy rain should be out of Euclid. You know, here's Euclid. The heavy rain is sliding just to the south. There's some pretty good, look at that little burst right there. So, I mean, it's super. I've been talking about it. It's super juicy air. There's no reason for this to really fall apart other than the fact that it's just rolling through kind of worked over air. But it's really hasn't been that worked over. Look at this line sliding south and trying to develop more so. Look at through Wayne County into Ashland County. Look at that line trying to develop. This is super humid air. It's just more fuel for these storms to roll in there. Akron's going to get hit with some heavy rain, maybe even some hail. Now that we're seeing this near Bath, Granger, Gent, Copley. Ooh, that's a bit aggressive, but there's some big hail with that. Look at that building. Big hail. So that's where the lightning is. Look at that. There's not much. There's not much up here. Had the big wind, it's pushed out. The main batch of energy is all right here. Look how much lightning there is. Man, that is loud. This is where your wind is, believe it or not. And this is where your strengthening is. This is strengthening. You can see it really starting to uptick. There's even more lightning than there was 5-10 minutes ago when we were talking about it. So we go to whoa. There's your wind right there. See how it's just kind of bowing out the leading edge of that? That's some big wind coming off the lake, that whole wrap up, and then pushing. And then just to the south, you've got that strengthening. Heading right toward Hudson, Cuyahoga Falls. Turn your reflectivity, that tells us where the heaviest rain is. Turn the lightning off because it's covering up the whole storm. Yeah. Hillary asking about 1 minute ago, asking about lightning. Are we getting lots of storms? Not lots of storms. You're getting one big storm. Here's Akron right here. You're within probably 10 minutes of this. Probably some hail with that, some large hail. And the wind really isn't even that strong with that. I mean, we'll throw the velocity on here. Yeah, you're going to get some winds. I'll stop it so we can look at it here. Here's some winds that are, I mean, the big wind right now is north of Burton, but there's still some bursts of 60. 60 is the criteria, 58. 58 is the criteria. So if we're getting, there's our next little scan. It dropped it down to push that wind to near Manaway. There's that 60 mile per hour gust. You see how it works like that, how it goes from spot to spot, just pushes on through. Manaway, that means you're next, probably within the next few minutes here. The bigger concern for Akron isn't wind. And right now, your strongest winds, I mean, it's windy. 45. You gotta be closer to 60 for damage. Batteries? Battery time. All right, I'm gonna mute this real quick so we can, so it doesn't fuzz your ears or scratch. Hold on 1 second, guys. All right. All right, we're good to go. Battery changeover. We'll just keep it going. Keep it going as long as these storms are here. As long as these storms are here. Bonita, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, so that's what actually that's what we were just talking about when we were talking about the potential for this strengthening. Big hail, big hail. North Royalton getting a lot of wind and rain. Let's see here. North Royalton, yeah, big time. You should be on the back side of it, though. Should be slowing down. No rotation. All right, so that's a huge cluster just near Copley right there. That right there, that is some large hail. That's likely some very large hail. The estimate on it is going to be astronomical. So whenever we look at this, we could probably cut it in half until we start to get any reports. If you know anybody near Copley, I do not expect three. I do not cut that in half, inch and a half. Sometimes this gets a little wonky, but Copley, Farallon, right along 77, wherever it cuts, you get that. You get that left-hand turn if you're heading 77 south, or the right-hand turn if you're heading 77 north out of Akron or heading toward Akron. Let's see if we can get, let me text Caitlin real quick. See if we can do this. All right, so we just popped into here. I want to see if we can go down 77 and look up some of those cameras. Yeah, Cuyahoga Falls along Route 8. I want to see. Actually, I think it's in the Cleveland. It's been a little bit since I've. Where is. I might just text Caitlin to see if she can do this for us. So yeah, that's some big hail, and that's why I kind of want to. Not going to show me. Not going to show me what's going on. All right, here's that reflectivity again. We'll get to it. Just push into Farallon. That's some heavy rain. And large hail. Very large hail. Yeah, I don't have a camera there. That's why. Okay. So, all right. Hailing like crazy. Hillary. All right, where are you at? That's what I'm looking for. Some information on that. Looking for some information there. Storm hitting Cuyahoga Falls. I would imagine you're near Copley. As far as you're looking for some large hail, that's going to be pushing near the Akron camera in just a little bit. We might be able to see that on our Akron camera. Nothing here, but it's been looking like 8 p.m. since 7 this morning. Clever. I like that. Yeah, Akron just got dark. Dark. Look at that. I can move this camera. It's going to take me way too long to figure it out, though. So it's calmed down in North Royalton. Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, lightning off in the distance. Did you see that? Just over my shoulder here. There's so much lightning with this. So we're going to see some large hail roll into Akron. Asking about Parma anymore. Not not anytime soon. You got a couple hours to dry out, a few hours to dry out before the next round rolls in later on this afternoon. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's go back over to the radar. That's a big cell in Akron. So this, I don't want to forget about what's going on. They just extended the National Weather Service just extended the warning for Ashtabula County also because of that. Wow. Now, the winds. So how the radar works is the radar has a beam, right? A radar sight. And it shoots out. It shoots out up into the clouds. Well, it doesn't, it goes straight for the most part, right? And as it goes farther and farther away from the radar, like in Ashtabula County, it gets higher up into those storms where there typically is more wind. So that being said, when you see white on our velocity scan, when you see pink, it's over 60. But we're looking at 60, 70, 80 mile per hour winds. That is some big wind. And if you look at the reflectivity, it doesn't lend itself to think that there's that much, right? Well, what's happening is you've got this little meso low that's developed, and it's riding right along. It's using, let's see if I can put this in motion so we can see it. It's using the lake as like an energy source. Look at it just kind of rotating right there. It's getting a little bit more elongated, right? It's not quite as compact, but it's still pushing that wind out ahead of it. So you've got some big wind just wrapping up and pushing through. So Ashtabula, Jefferson, Rome, Windsor, Mesopotamia, Parkman, yeah, absolutely. You've got some big wind coming your way. Less wind for like Fairport Harbor, less wind for Menor. I think I can actually show you Fairport Harbor if I still have it pulled up. There it is in Akron. There's Fairport Harbor, much calmer. I mean, look at the wind. Let me get off the camera here. Look at that windsock hanging straight down, much calmer. But you've got the rain. Look at the rain coming right down the beach there. Saw Akron. Heavy rain. Heavy rain. Tons of lightning with it as well. Let's go back over to your radar. There's really not much lightning with that. I mean, this is still showing some pretty good lightning once you get up into, like up here. There's still quite a bit of lightning with that. So that very well, see how there wasn't much and there was a little cluster there? So that could be strengthening as well as it rolls in. No more warning for Cuyahoga, Lake, and Geauga counties, but there's still a lot of lightning with it, and it's helping fuel that little portion. This is also something we got to keep a close eye on. Stark County, you're next. Northern Stark County, like Hartville, Greene. I had a question about Greene a little bit earlier. I saw it. I didn't get a chance to click on it, but I saw your question in Greene. It's headed toward your direction as well. And look at that stretching down through Wayne County. We just kind of looked at those little pockets just a little bit ago. It said, watch this into more fueled air. Look at that line. Look at that line right there. Already seeing some lightning with it. So this is strengthening as it heads into Shreve, eventually Berlin, eventually through Holmes County. All right, I'm going to zoom back into Akron. Get this lightning out of here. We know there's a ton. Yeah. All right, so Hillary, you can send them to 5 picks. 5 picks, P-I-X, 5 picks at wews.com, or you can email them to me directly. I'm at trent.magill@wews.com, but those are the best ways to send us photos, is going to be through the email. Great question. Great question. Thank you. All right, let's go back to Akron. Hailing like crazy downtown Akron, Letha says. Well, yeah. We lost... Did we lose power? Did we lose our camera? Yeah, we can't. We froze up. We locked up. You see it coming in. Man. Pretty strong storm. Very strong storm. It's not tornadic. There's no tornadoes with this. It's just a bunch of wind and a bunch of hail at 9 in the morning. Still have flood advisories in effect for Cuyahoga County, just for some drainage issues, some just where the runoff's going to go. Where's the rain going to go, right? Rural part of Ravenna. Yeah, I mean, this line, well, so the big hail that you have that's pushing through Akron right now won't hit Ravenna. Won't hit Ravenna. But as far as velocity is concerned, that's even farther to the north also. We had this burst that was just a little, it just kind of rolled right on through. It's windy. Don't get me wrong. 40 to 50 mile per hour winds. Yeah. So power outages in Ravenna, probably not. Power outages in Ashtabula, probably trees down. Probably. Alan knows if he's watching the stream. Thanks, man. Let's get back to the reflectivity. Show you where we are. Look at that, is so much. So typically, we had earlier, here, let's get into the science behind this, or what I'm looking for when I'm talking about analyzing a radar. When we saw, look at here, we saw a couple scans ago, there. Near Granger, we saw some purple. Remember that depending on how long you were watching, this was about 30 minutes ago, and we saw it trying to develop a little bit more. They issued the warning. I was like, well, there's not much wind with it, but we're going to watch this, right? Well, it kept strengthening. And there was a lot of lightning with it. You go forward a few minutes into Granger, and you're like, well, that's interesting. That pink in there, that looks a bit hot, right? A little spiced. We'll go to the next scan. Now it's an even darker color or brighter color. Every way you look at it, it's a more intense color. They're pushing right along 77 through like Farallon, Copley, and just riding the interstate. Big hail. Look at that. Next scan, right on in. Pushing right through Akron, or toward Akron. We knew it was coming. That's the next scan. We knew it was coming right toward downtown Akron. And as soon as it hit, I lost my camera. Hopefully your windshields are okay. Hopefully everything's doing all right. Yeah, that took the camera out. Power's probably out is the issue there. Power's probably out. What are my thoughts for later on this afternoon and evening? And severe weather. It's possible. We're going to have another probably 6 hours to destabilize, to dry out, to heat things up. We might even hit the mid-80s again. Not everybody will, but the mid-80s are doable. It's so humid outside, though, so dew point's near 70, so we've got some big fuel once we get the storms to spark. I mean, that's all this morning was, and that's why the models, if you're watching, different folks talk about timing and everything with the models and with when you can expect thunderstorms. When you get a pattern like this, the models are awful. They don't necessarily get it. All you need is a trigger. And if a model thinks there's a trigger at some time, it'll just go from there. If it misses that trigger, it won't show anything. It won't show anything at all. So when you look at reality, what's happening, that's why they can be so off. And if you try to make plans specifically for the models, it's tough. I told you Friday before we got into the weekend, like, hey, Saturday, the models aren't showing a thing around the area. but have a plan because we're likely going to get in a couple of these storms that pop up, and that's kind of what we had. So you just kind of have to take the models with a grain of salt. So my thoughts for this afternoon is I'm not going to be able to tell you when and where. I'm going to tell you the best likelihood is probably south, probably Akron and south, but it doesn't mean Cleveland's not going to get thunderstorms. I know Foo Fighters in town. We might have some storms. And then this is what it turns into afterwards, just drizzling in Twinsburg. Hope you had a great weekend in Twinsburg, Twins Days. Man, the Twins Days Festival, huge. Pretty hard rain and thunder earlier. Now it's gone. Now here we go. National Weather Service getting in on it as well, talking about these lines. Look, there's more lightning with it. And this line just stretches farther and farther south. Hey, the good news is, with this activity here, with these thunderstorms trying to eat up some of that fuel, these thunderstorms won't have nearly as much energy. Won't have nearly as much energy. Put it in motion. There's your wind. There's your hail and your big lightning. Here's some building thunderstorms building out ahead of it, which are going to steal the fuel, the energy from this guy right here, Findlay. Big rain. Not Findlay State Park, Findlay, Ohio. Also some heavier rain and some lightning back here. Hasn't been touched yet. They haven't had any thunderstorms yet. Once that rolls into this area, it should try to fade away. It will likely make its way all the way to like Richland County, Shelby, Lexington area, and those storms are just to your east, right? Another line rolling along I-70. It's just such a messy radar. Very unorganized. A lot of lightning and thunder in Chardon. Yeah, absolutely. So you've got that. You've got this heading along the I-70 corridor. You've got this that's building. You got this that's dropping a ton of hail in Akron. You got this that's bringing a bunch of wind and, according to Eric Gibson, loud thunder. There's Chardon. Quite a bit. Turn the lightning off because it's fading away a little bit. Let's go back to wind, show you where we are. Yeah, just a bunch of wind. All right, let's go back to Akron. Well, I hope we can get the power back on in Akron. It looks like the bulk of it's through. Not even a whole lot of wind in Akron, just so much rain and hail. Look at that. That means it's dropped its hail. Remember it was rolling through Granger, Fairlawn, kind of riding along that 77 corridor right there. It was dropping its hail. It's falling out of the thunderstorm, and then now looks like it's fading away, right? Well, it's dropped its hail. It may cycle again. There's no reason to think it won't because there's so much fuel around. But it's definitely something to keep a close eye on. Electricity was going on and off. Is there a tornado rotation? No, I'm not seeing. So typically, a lot of times when you get a line like this, you might see like a little notch or a little kind of inflow right there, but we're not seeing it. It's just not really, it's not fueling that way. There's not enough spin in the atmosphere, and I'm not even seeing it on the velocity. Typically, you'd see wind coming from a little different direction. When it came through Elyria, we had pea-sized hail and extremely high wind, very heavy thunderstorm. Seemed like it only got stronger as it was moving through. Now I see it has. Yeah. So when that was coming off of the lake, pushing through Lorain County, it was definitely getting stronger. What happened is it developed. Lake Erie is nuts. Lake Erie is wild. It's got its own little atmosphere, its own little weather, essentially. And with all the extra moisture and the rising air, when you were heating things up, when the storm was rolling through, it developed like a little low. You can see the streams, the little lines. Let me back up just a little bit here. You see these lines here? That's around this low that's essentially just pulling through the lake, and it's pushing the bottom side of that. You can really see it. Let me back up 2 hours. Watch it just push that wind. It just looks like a I don't even know. It just looks like it's blowing through. Watch it come in, rotate around, and then just push right through. You can really see it on the reflectivity. You can really see it on the reflectivity. As it came through Lorain County, looked like it was strengthening, like Nikki was saying, strengthening, and you see that huge low right there. Now that it's on land, it's going to be a little different, but it's going to should try to weaken as it just kind of gusts itself out over Ashtabula County. Lakemore, just through just through Akron, Suffield. It's pretty good hail still possible with that. Sheriff. Jenny said the sheriff office issued something saying they were watching a thunderstorm moving in by homes. So yeah, that's that line. They're just watching. We'll put lightning on here so you can see kind of what's good. Here's that green warning for that hail. Northern Stark County. Said you're next. It's coming your way. These aren't showing as much as this is showing, right? I mean, there's a lot of lightning in there, less than there was before. It's kind of cycling itself down a little bit, but could easily build as it moves into, Stark and eventually Carroll County. But here it is, Orville, Apple Creek. There's just so much moisture around. How much rain are we getting with this? All right, so that's where things get a little iffy. Yes, lots of rain, tons of rain. As a matter of fact, I can show you how much rain we've seen in the last 12 hours just to get this morning's. And it doesn't look that impressive, less than 2 inches across most of the areas where you got maybe up to 2. You see some yellow pockets, that's where you get to that 2-inch mark. So not a ton. So what's the advisory for? The flood advisory for Cuyahoga County? Well, it's because that, plus we'll go back to 24 hours, and we'll throw in, I think we can even do, two-day, we'll go 3, 5. We'll get the warnings off there for a second. And you see how you start to develop the trend here? 7 days. We're talking about big rainfall in a lot of areas over the last week. Some areas have gotten a ton, while other areas have gotten none in the last week. Shelby through northern Ashland County, none. 0 rain. Green all the way back up through Edinburgh, that's not a lot, whereas other spots have just been dumped on. So depending on where you are, some spots will get another couple inches today. 1 to 2, totally doable, where you get this rain plus the afternoon rain. I think the farther south you are, you got a lot of rain coming. So yeah. All right, what we got here? Nah, man. So we can. It's very convoluted, and confusing to most folks. So I typically don't do a lot of 3D scans, especially not with this. It really wouldn't show us anything. But when we get like tornadic supercells, a lot of times when I was chasing out in the plains out west, 3D scans were where it's at. But not so much with this stuff. We could look at some hail with the 3D scans, but it's not necessary. All right, so we'll put the warnings back on. All right, there we go. All right, so there we go. That's that. The SPC did just issue a watch for like these storms and east. They're already rolling through here, so it's not that relevant for us, but it's through for the next few hours, as this whole line is, like I've been saying all morning, is rolling into more and more fueled air. Like all this is untouched, so it's super humid air. And if it's doing this at, started at like 8 a.m., 7:30, 8 o'clock. I started the stream at 7:30, so it's been doing this for the last hour and a half and still maintaining and strengthening. You bet. You get into the middle part of the day, this whole line will continue to slide farther east out of our viewing area into Pennsylvania and drop some pretty big storms. I can show you the watches. There. Oh. So the yellow you're seeing are the watch counties. When does this go till? Till 3 o'clock. I saw a comment saying, Jenny says until 3. Yeah. But ours is they'll cancel it out, or they'll trim us out of it before then. So 3 o'clock for like Pennsylvania. We should be trimmed out before then. Okay. Got the watch off. Let's move back into it. Quite a bit of lightning still near Ashtabula. I'm going to talk about the strongest storm right now, which is pushing out of Summit into Stark County, near Hartville, Midway. I get the lightning off because there's a ton. We'll zoom in on some of these brighter colors. That's where you can see some hail. Louisville, Maximo. Put a quick track on the leading edge of this. Louisville 950, Lexington, not in the little cone, but you're there. Here is Marlboro, Alliance, and Louisville. So yeah, watch until 3, but ours will be trimmed back way before then. Middle field for an appointment. Andy Hollister. That's going to be tough. There's going to be some trees down. There's no way around that. I mean, look at the wind. Now, granted, it's aloft, it's up into that storm, and it doesn't look that strong at the surface. But even if you're looking at 70 mile per hour winds aloft, you're still going to get 50 and 60 at the surface, and you can still get some trees down. So you've got some concerns. Yeah, there we go. Dr. Prepper, Andy Hollister, middle field here, no power. 1/2 inch of rain so far with this round. Yeah, so there's not a bunch. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's not a bunch of rain with this. It's the fact that we just get hit with a round, another inch, another 1/2 inch, another inch, another 1/2 inch, and it just just keeps piling up on the areas. There's really not much wind at all when you go farther to the south, but there is the potential for some hail, and it's with this cluster right here near Hartville, Midway, north of Midway. If you live at Hartville, you have any friends, family, anybody you know that lives in Hartville, send them a quick text. Say, hey, are you seeing any hail with this? If you are, send me a picture. Trent.magill@wews.com. I think I could put that on. How about this? That's me. Email that to me and any photos you get, and we can spread the word. We can get you on TV, get your pictures on. So if you're in Medina County, I know you're still under the warning technically, but you're clear. If you're in Summit County, I know you're technically in the warning, but you're clear. There's no more damage. Yes, there is still lightning around. Not nearly as much as there was, but that cluster that's moving out of Summit into Stark County, that one's got a lot of lightning with it. Also from Oroville to Apple Creek, look at that. Not as much lightning, but there's still some. Look at that, another round of strikes in there. It's quite a bit of lightning with this. It's a loud morning. What a way to kick off the work week, right? Man. So, Cuyahoga, all right. Lake Geauga, I'm going to say Summit, Medina, Richland, Ashland counties, Lorain, Erie, Huron, Seneca, Ottawa, Sandusky counties, clear. No more severe weather threat with this round. There's another round coming later on this afternoon, but with this round. If you're in Stark, Holmes, Tuscarawas, Coshocton, Ashtabula County, Portage, Trumbull, Mahoning, yeah, make sure you're staying informed. Make sure you're staying up to date. Paul, yeah, that line was strong. That line was very strong. That line was strong. Lisa, yeah, it is. We're live. We're live. That's why we do these streams. Yeah, all right, so let's get up to Ashtabula. Here we go. I don't want to see how this is kind of moving up and over the lake. There's a lot of lightning with it, so there's some strength. There's some energy, some big fuel once you get closer to Lake Erie, and it tends to mess with things a little bit. So we're seeing this try to intensify just a little bit. Essentially what it's doing is it's sort of condensing realistically, and it might be lifting and growing vertically. So you're going to get in on that. Ashtabula, some big lightning. This is over the last 2 hours. I want to go to the last 30 minutes so we don't forget where we are. There it is. There's that push right there. Man, that's a lot of lightning. I don't have a camera there, but I have Fairport Harbor, which is as close as I can get, and that's way back just with some rain. That's not even a whole lot. So yeah, there's still that warning. There's still some big wind for Ashtabula County. There's really not much wind south of that. This warning is for hail. Yeah, lots of lightning also. That's a loud storm. Turn the lighting off. Hartville, Lexington. Marlboro, Harrisburg. Nah, Lisa, not on purpose. Internet does what the internet does sometimes, but I'm here. I'm here until these storms are fading or gone. That's what we do. That's what we do. We did have a little snafu earlier where my computer just froze up on me, but the stream stayed up and we got back in on it. So, yeah. Nah, we're good. We're good. So, as far as severe weather, the rest of the morning is what we have going on. We have large hail right now, right here. Less than what we had earlier when it was rolling through Akron. Man, do we have some big hail. I'm going to see if my camera's back, see if the power's back on in Akron. It is back on. Great. Looks totally different. Rolls in, knocks everything out, and rolls out. Good. Good. See you later, storm. Problem is it goes to the next town. But then it goes in and out. Look at that's actually strengthening a little bit. Look at that within the last couple scans. Near Hartville, see how it was fading away, not doing a whole lot. Just after Akron. And then now it's strengthening again. So Alliance, Harrisburg, Freeburg. See how this line is trying to run this direction? This could develop some more hail. These storms are cycling. There's so much moisture. There's so much fuel that it doesn't even... Typically thunderstorms... can I do it? All right. Typically thunderstorms have a life cycle. These are cycling over and over. All right, so there we go. Just got the new updates. No more. So Alliance 9:51, Louisville 9:52, Paris at 10 o'clock. The warning for Ashtabula, gone. The warning for Stark and Medina, gone. Lake Geauga, gone. Portage County, gone. Sliding south. Let's keep heading south along that line. We're analyzing as we go. Do I think Cuyahoga will get hit as hard later today now that we've had this first round of strong storms? So Ian, good question. So that's why these storms are forming, because they're just rolling over open air. This activity back to the west it's right on the heels of these storms right here, right? So these should fade away. There's another line likely later on this afternoon, late afternoon, early evening, that has the potential. The models are hinting at it. Like I was saying earlier, the models will pick up on a trigger. And if that trigger, that fuse gets lit, then it just blows up storms, right? If the models miss out on a trigger, then they'll think there's nothing, and then things happen. So it's so tough. I would have a plan. If you're going to Foo Fighters downtown, if you got anything going on, have a plan, a backup plan. I mean, if I had tickets, I'd be going tonight. Tickets are still up for sale, though. It's not going to be a washout, is what I'm getting at. Oh, Lisa, fast forward. She can't see me. She's watching 8 o'clock. What am I doing? I'm trying to tell somebody how to watch it live, and they're not live, and I'm live. So she's going to see this in 2 hours. And I can't help her. Make sure, so you can help yourself. Make sure you click the live. Make sure as you're watching this, make sure, I'm useless right now. I can't help her at all. Now it makes sense what she was watching and her comments. Lisa, make sure whenever you click on a live video, you make sure you look at the bottom and scroll all the way to the right, or make sure you click live, or find some way to get that. Man, Lisa, I'm sorry. That's a bummer. That's a bummer. Okay, all right, here we go. Let's get into it. This is where this line is going. Now, the National Weather Service agrees that this storm is strengthening, which is why they've extended to even more. They've added some more counties along this line. So I'm telling you what, there's no reason for these storms to fade away. Now, they build up. There's only so much fuel. They get as large as they can, and then they collapse. And they build as they get over a new area, and then they collapse. And that's sort of what this is doing right here as it rolls into like Paris and towards like Salem and Lisbon. You bet this will likely strengthen a bit more. This line also, Brewster, Berlin, Strasbourg, New Philly, should strengthen as well. Tuscarawas County, you're next as far as warnings are concerned. Same thing for Carroll. I mean, we can look at the lightning, and it's showing quite a bit. You get some of those upticks, some bursts and lightning, and yeah, they absolutely get in on that. Sorry, I missed a meeting. Whoops. I will update them later. We're tracking storms, right? So here's the line. So interestingly enough, the National Weather Service in Pittsburgh controls Tuscarawas, Carroll, and Coshocton counties. So we'll see what they're looking at. But I do expect, with this line rolling in, I do expect some strong storms, warning or not. I mean, you're getting heavy rain. You're getting some gusty winds. It's not that much wind, maybe 40 to 50, maybe up to 60. I mean, I'm not talking about as much as we had pushing through like Cuyahoga, Lake, and Geauga counties. But there's still some pretty good wind and the potential for hail. This cluster right here, still strengthening, still shows a pretty good sign or an indication of the potential for some more hail as it moves into like the Alliance area. This right here, notice how you're getting a little more organization. There's some more lightning with that. There's some more strengthening with that. That's a good indication that that might develop some hail. Now I'm going to turn the lightning off so we can see where we are. We're going to dive into this. Yeah, that's some pretty, it's probably moderate hail. Thank you guys for trying to help her, for trying to help Lisa out. You guys are great. You guys are great. Because if one person's having an issue, there's several other people. You're never alone in any issue. That's why there's no, I mean, you're not alone ever. So there's always more folks that are going through the same issues you're going through. So Davey, thank you. Jenny, no. Does anything look to be tornado potential? Not with this. Not with this. Yeah, there's the next warning. There's the next warning for Coshocton, Tuscarawas, and Carroll counties. But there's severe thunderstorm warnings. They're not tornado warnings. There's not even a whole lot of wind with it, but it's moving into, like I've said 1,000 times, moving into super juicy air, super fueled air. So that's just what we're going to be watching for this morning. Watch this line as it rolls in. The most interesting part of this whole line is, I mean, we'll throw the lightning on again. You can see there's a ton of lightning with this. This cluster right here and this cluster right here. Strengthening, maybe even some hail developing, and then some hail developing as it moves into Tuscarawas County as well. But what's most interesting, if you're weather-minded or like visual learner, check this out. Our atmosphere is fluid, like a river, like a current. See as this rolls in, see how it just kind of rotates right there? It develops a little low. And what it does is, yes, it pushes this out, the leading edge, way ahead of the main line. Actually breaks it off from these storms that are heading southeast, breaks it off and just disconnects it. What it's doing is, in that process, it was developing a little bit of a circulation and pushing that leading edge straight through Ashtabula County. I'll pause it right. Whoop, come on. Pause it right here and you can see that line, that little line right there. You see it just kind of rotating right there and just pushing right on through. What it's doing is it's pushing this out ahead, splitting that stream off there. And there it goes. Now it's pushing this. Now it's on the leading edge. That low stayed back over the lake, and it's pulling that. If you get that counterclockwise flow around a low or rising air, it's pulling that up through Edinburgh, up through Erie, back over the lake. Interesting stuff. No warnings for that area right now, but there was earlier, and that's where they had the big wind and the biggest potential for some damage. Okay. Let's see where we are here. Take a quick big look out, see what's going on. You are in the clear. Everybody back here, all the way, well, until this line. So you go Cleveland back through Akron, and then south. Now, that being said, I'm still watching this. It's going to roll on through, and it should fade away as it moves a little bit closer to that worked over air. What? Penny-size hail. And there was penny-size hail in Akron. Probably the big hail probably fell out right before it went into Akron. So it probably fell out near like Copley. Man, was that a big storm. That thing grew quickly, grew very quickly. Okay. All right, back to it. The only severe thunderstorm warnings are for it's for this line right here. And the radar coverage, the farther south you get, is so tough, and the elevation changes start to come into play. It's so tough. That's what we're going to be watching, at least for, probably for the next hour, realistically, before this tries to fade on out of here. I'm out of water. I'm out of water. All right, there we go. Water might be on the way. So that's where we are. That's what we're watching. I'm going to zoom in on it. Actually, this up here is so interesting. That's where my brain kind of is right now. But this is also some strong stuff right here, and not nearly as kind of compacted. You know, it's not really centered or centralized or located on anything crazy. So that's good news. That's really good news. So let's turn it off. Zoom in on it. Zoom in on what we have going on. Beach City, Bolivar, Battlesburg. This is where you see those pink colors in there. Might be some small hail in there. All right. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're the best. Yeah, do you want to, yeah. Nothing. Black. No, you're good. Yeah, if you want to. That's great. That's great. I tell you, I work with some of the best people on the planet. Some of the best people. That was Paula. She's one of our directors. She's great. She brought me some water and coffee. She's bringing me coffee. Anyway, let's go. Let's get to it. That makes me happy. So yeah, beginning to thunder in Uhrichsville, southern Stark County. Yeah, no, for sure. So here's where we are. This is the strongest part of this storm right here. Sorry, I got distracted for a second. But the strongest part of the storm, and the areas where I just want you to pay attention, and again, these are borderline severe. So even though there are warnings, I don't want you to think this is going to create huge amounts of damage across the area. Our south region, very topographically changing, essentially. There's big elevation changes, is what I'm getting at. So it's the flood threat is still going to be elevated. The hail threat is something that I can't rule out, but it doesn't look like it's the biggest amount of hail with this. Yeah, there's a lot of lightning. Where are we zooming into? Can you, Magnolia area? Yeah, for sure. Southern Stark County. There's some small hail mixed in with that, but that's not necessarily as... Here, this is, to put this in comparison, yeah, I hear that. The outage map, we can actually show you the outage map, but I want to put this in perspective really quickly to show you the difference between something that has maybe some pea-sized hail and something that had some large, potentially damaging hail. That's this cluster right here. So on radar, what happens is the radar thinks they're very large raindrops, and it thinks it's raining super heavy, right? Well, it's not. That's what we're seeing as far as hail is concerned. So it's just large out there. So that's what that is. And comparing that to what we're seeing now, it's just different. Not quite as localized, not quite as intense. Outage map. All right. Outage map. We have an outage map. Oh, you're the best. Where did it go? Thank you. So here is this going to show us? Yeah. All right. So this is it. Here's your outage map right now. Man, look at that. 40,000 people in Cuyahoga County. So that's when we were talking about the trees and the branches and all the damage in like Rocky River. Katie Houston was texting, right? My wife in Avon was texting. So 6,000 in Lorain, 200 in Medina, 4,500 in Lake Geauga's at 3,500, and 3,500 in Summit. Now that's a lot. That's a lot. So that's why we stream. Your TVs go out, right? When there's no power, there's no TV. Sometimes if you have satellite, when there's clouds and heavy rain, you lose TV. Oh, man. Water when your throat's dry is the best. So that's what we're talking about. That's why we stream. That's why we're on Facebook. That's why we're on YouTube. Eric, man, welcome. First time watching the stream. We do this every time there's even when there's not severe weather, when there's a potential for strong storms, we'll fire up the stream and we can do it. There's 4 of us here. It's me, it's Katie McGraw. She works at the weekday evenings. You've got Phil, which will be here this evening. You've got Alan, which is off the next couple of days, but he's always super active. So I'm sure he's been pretty active on the social medias. So yeah, welcome to the stream. Appreciate you watching. Jenny, heavy rain. You've been on here for a while, Jenny. You've been watching these with us essentially from just about the beginning. More warnings. How about this? Southern Coshocton County, Dresden, Zanesville. That's that line that I was showing you earlier that was rolling right along I-70, right? Right in that 70 corridor. We'll watch these kind of join together as they move farther east. Nothing going on in Massillon right now? Yeah, no. Yeah, Massillon's good. You're on the back side of it. You probably still hear some thunder. Yeah. A lot of lightning. Less lightning back here. It's going to run into some already worked over air. Shouldn't be too big of an issue. This, though, still strengthening. I mean, there's been nothing out here. It's just wide open. And now that we're heating things up, it's 10 a.m. I mean, let's look at temperatures. We're in it. We're heating things up. So, current temps. Yeah, huge difference. Now this is still, all right, so this is still warm out, almost 80. And then you look over the area that got the storms, it's cooler by a few degrees. So it's less fuel. Still a lot of moisture, but that's less fuel for them to build off of. So I would expect these storms to continue to grow, to continue to build. These will continue until, they mess with each other's flow and maybe just grow into a larger cluster or a line of thunderstorms called a squall line. These will probably maintain until they hit about that 71 corridor and then should fade away. It's really it. So that's where we are. Can I give my favorite YouTubers a shout out here on your stream? We're here. We're here streaming weather. I guess if they're weather related, try to keep it weather related. I don't know. I don't know the rules, man. Pretty significant temperature drop. West Park down to 62. Yeah, big drop in temps because of that rain cooled air. What it does is it creates like a cap. It's like putting a lid on a pot. If you're boiling a pot of water, that's basically what like thunderstorms are. If you're boiling a pot of water, all that warm, moist air, it's bubbling up. If you put a lid on it, put a cap on it, cool it off, right? Put a lid right on the top of it, it's going to keep building underneath that until you can bust through that cap. In the afternoons, enough heat. If you put like a saran wrap over, or like a aluminum foil over the top of boiling water and poke a hole in it, it's essentially like breaking the cap. You'll see that steam roll right on up through. That was a very elementary example. Sorry. Hopefully that made sense. Yeah, rolling. This is pushing through. This is quick. This is really flying through Tuscarawas County. If you're in Holmes County, Wayne County, you're good. You're all clear. If you're in Stark County, look at this lightning out of here. Yikes, is there a lot of lightning. If you're in Stark County, the only potential for damage, which is what this is from, is maybe the potential for some hail is what, Battlesburg through Mapleton. You're looking for these pink colors in here. Malvern, Bonaire Estates, Fritchley's Corners is coming towards you. Bayard, Reading, Paris, Naylor. I mean, that's really where you're going to see the potential for the strength. If you're behind that, Canton, North Canton, Greene, Hartville, you're good. You're doing just fine. Yeah, you're doing fine. Now, Tuscarora's County, a little different story. This storm looks like it's strengthening. That 77 corridor is getting hit hard between, at Strasburg. Strasburg and, Reed's Run. Peril, Dover. Yeah. Good idea, man. Good idea, Ian. Heading to the mall to kill some time until power is restored. Yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone. There's what? If we're going to add it all up here, what is there, 100,000 people without power? Not quite. 50,000. Still. Cuyahoga County's got 40,000. "50 to 60 mile per hour winds an hour ago. West side Cleveland. Good sized branch knocked down with 2 wires. Thank goodness they were old cable TV wires." That's also why we stream. If you were relying on those wires for power or for your cable TV, new cable TV wires, whatever they are, that's why we stream. Kevin, appreciate it, man. Lots of folks not doing so great. And most of you guys on the stream here are on YouTube. There's actually more folks on my Facebook page watching than on News 5's Facebook page. So thank you guys. You're my weather enthusiasts. So there's that line. Any questions? You guys have any questions? There's a lot of folks watching still, a couple hundred folks still watching. So if there's any questions on what's going on, honestly, the severe weather threat, it's right there. Might see some developing in other spots like near Linden Tree, heading toward Arrowhead, but that's the cluster right there. It's crossing towards like Reed's Run. Throw the strikes on there, and there's really not even a whole lot. I mean, there's a lot. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot, but south, there's not a lot down there. So I don't know how much strengthening that's going to do. Coshocton County, you're in the clear. Heavy rain, some lightning, yes, but no severe weather threat. Same thing for Wayne. Stark County, you're just getting clipped right now. You're just getting the edge. Will we see any more in the Parma-Strongsville, Middle Heights area? It's possibly. Not this morning, no. Not this morning. But later on today, let me see if I can get one of the latest little model runs in here, see if it's doing any better with it, because earlier I had to make some changes because they weren't really loading in well. All right, let's drag it on through. Actually doing all right. I mean, what time is it? It's 10:15, so it's actually doing pretty well. It's a little behind, but close. That line gets out of here by noon. There it is. All right, so stop at 2 o'clock. There it is. That's what we've been talking about for later on today. The farther south you are, the models are picking up on it. Like I said, They just need a trigger. They just need something to light that spark. Our futurecast here, it's under the assumption that there's going to be a spark. We're going to get 1 or 2 storms that pop up between 1 and 2. And then that starts the afternoon convection. Keeps building. How about that? So this is where you get into the flood concerns. This is where you get into the flood threat. Yeah, that's right, David. That's what I'm talking about. The flood threat. The severe threat initially, yes, but then just round and round after round of rain. So if we see severe weather late in the day, what's your best guess on timing? I'm in southern Stark County and south of Route 30. So that's exactly what we've been saying all morning long. I would say probably closer to like 2 or 3 o'clock, we'll see some storms building. One might be a bit early. It's doable. These things have been going. They've been cranking up early, and once they get going, they're going. But yeah, this is showing exactly kind of what they were showing this morning. So that's good news. It's back to trustworthy, reliable stuff. And just look how it just hits the same areas. Look at that. South of Akron, just boom, 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 round, round, round after heavy rain. There's that flood threat. Severe weather threat initially, but then it's all, yeah, here we go. And let's go to the end. You see up on its heels? That round right there. So again, if we have all these storms in our southern counties all afternoon and evening, overnight, untouched air, it's coming right through. So we're all going to get rain. There will be rounds of rain, but not everybody gets every round. But we all get at least one round, if that makes sense. So we're all going to get rain, just not all at the same time and not with the same round, because there's several rounds, several opportunities for it. Quick ODOT look, looking good. Cleveland Massillon 77. This is, yeah, 271, 480. Looking good. Akron's looking much better. Canton, Massillon, Perry Township, same thing. Same thing, southern Stark County. I would plan on, Melissa, I'd plan on some storms this afternoon. Maybe some strong ones. That's a random. Oh, okay. From earlier. Yeah. Eric, man, I used to work in Knoxville. I spent a lot of time in Gatlinburg. Those are great. Now I see what you, okay. Okay, so you're asking about the other YouTube accounts you follow. Gotcha. Now I'm with you, man. I'm with you now. I'm in weather mode, dude. I'm in weather mode right now. Sorry about that. Anyway, so here we go. Strong thunderstorms. Here it is. Let's go back. Look at these storms. They're just struggling. They're not really putting together much. There is some lightning with them, but there's just not a lot going on with them. These are fading right here. These are trying to hold together. They're just not really. That line right there. A lot of lightning with it. A lot of lightning with it. Man, Ashtabula still just got some heavy rain, too. Look at this. The whole county is yellow. It's not amounting to much, but it's there. Cool. All right. Any questions? Yeah, no wind. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? So there's really not much wind with this the farther south you get. All the wind was along the lakeshore earlier this morning when it rolled through, like an hour or so ago, and it rolled through, caused all those power outages. That was the issue with that. And then we saw a couple little pockets, a couple little cells, and even had a question saying, hey, why are they issuing warnings for Summit County, or Summit County rather, when there's no wind? Well, for that hail threat, that little cell was building. Batteries, we did at 9. Should we change again?
How long have you been on? Wow.
Probably like another 30, 45 minutes. All right. Say hello to the people, Perko.
Hey, people.
Whenever I was, I'm going to turn this off for a second.
Okay.
So when I was talking earlier to the director saying Jim, that's Jim. All right, so starting to get dark in Newcomerstown. Yeah, I bet. You shouldn't have much, though, honestly, in Newcomerstown, Betsy. You're kind of right in between. You're kind of right in between a couple little. I mean, that's loud. That's legit, and that's loud along the I-70 corridor south. But Newcomerstown, you're kind of right in the middle there. You're going to get some heavy rain and you're going to get some lightning, but it's not quite as bad as like Cary and New Philly. Yeah, just north of New Philly, it's just getting hammered. Look at the lightning out of this. We could see. I mean, there's still some hail in there. There's some heavy rain and some hail in there. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, there's still some hail in there. Maybe up to 1 inch. What's it about? What time this afternoon? It's tough. It's really tough. I would have a plan starting by probably starting by 2 o'clock, and that might be too late. By 2 o'clock, I would make sure you have a plan. Honestly, storm time, once it starts, it just goes. You know, there's going to be a line of some pretty strong storms that continues to roll through. So as far as Melissa, sorry, I was answering your question. I didn't click on your name there. But as far as Canton and Massillon, I would have an afternoon plan. They're now I would say Stark County, you're probably in the clear now. You're going to get trimmed out of this next warning. Yeah, Stark County, you're probably fine. There's still some heavy rain hanging around like Paris, Myers, Mapleton, Minerva. There's still some heavy rain, maybe some pea-sized hail. I don't expect anything damaging or anything severe, but Stark County, if you live in Stark County, you're fine. Akron-Canton region, you're fine. You're all clear now. West region, have you seen the regions we've been talking about yet? West region, Snowbelt region, and there's 5 of them. Here. All clear. Still some rain, but all clear for severe weather. Same thing for, the Akron-Canton region, Summit, Stark, and Portage County. Even half of our south region is clear, but I'm still watching these two counties, right? Still watching Tuscarawas and Carroll County. Newcomerstown, I know you were just commenting. Technically, our viewing area doesn't include, we still cover Coshocton County, don't tell anyone, but it technically doesn't, so it's not included. But you can, I mean, I'm talking to you right now, right? If you're watching our broadcast, watching our forecast, just consider yourself part of the South region. Same thing for Ottawa, Seneca, and Sandusky counties. Technically not in our viewing area, but we still throw them on the map and we still talk about them because we got a lot of family and friends that and streamers, especially in the islands. So we'll still include them, in our forecast, but technically it's not in our viewing area. The clouds in Uriksville are very thick, dark, and gray. Yeah, I bet. Moving in. So it'll get a bit breezy, a bit gusty over the next couple of minutes. Maybe you might get in on a little bit of hail. Probably not the strongest or the biggest hail, but the potential, that storm has really started to fade away. We'll throw the counter on here, and there's really not even a whole lot of lightning anymore in that area. It looks like this is trying to develop itself up towards Carrollton, Carroll County. It looks like the peak of what's going on now. Southern Tuscarawas County. Now again, the radar is far, it's high. That radar beam has to get out to Tuscarawas County, and by the time it gets to Uriksville, it's 5,500 feet, so it's 5,500 feet up. These thunderstorms, the base of these thunderstorms is at 1,000 feet, maybe lower. So we're talking about 5 times higher than the base of these storms. And you're getting up into the upper levels of this stuff, so it's really tough. It's really tricky to get a good idea of what's going on at the surface. This portion right here is at 4,700 feet. The tops of these storms are way up there, right? I'm not talking about missing them over the top. I mean, these are 20, 30,000 feet tall. But at least you're not at the surface. That's what I'm getting at. So when you see like tornado warnings for areas in our south region, right? It's very, very tricky. And if we were to look at, we can even look at Pittsburgh radar, and it might be a little bit lower. Yeah. So Pittsburgh's a little bit lower, is at 3,300 feet. And for New Philly, or Uriksville we were looking at, is at 4,000 feet. So it's 1,500 feet lower, and that's why they take precedent with warnings for Tuscarawas and Carroll County, just because they have a much better view. So you can see at the surface there. Lightning's still a concern. Lightning's still a big concern. Not so much for New Philly or Tuscarawas County, just a few strikes. And this storm, man, look at that storm. The storm near Coshocton County is fading away pretty quickly. Still some pretty heavy rainfall and quite a bit of lightning with it. But that storm pushing through Zanesville, just riding I-70 is intense. That's intense. Man, the storm's back to the west, just north of Columbus. They're trying to hold together. They're trying. A lot of lightning. There's a new warning in effect. Not for Columbus, but they're trying to hold together. All right, so that's it. That's your line of thunderstorms. So let's ask a couple more questions. We're kind of dwindling away. Kind of dwindling here on us. All right. In your opinion, did this first batch take any of the punch or energy out of the next round that's coming this afternoon? No, I don't think so. It depends. As I say, no, it depends on how much, if we can clear things out. Yeah, how much and if we can. Let's see if I can. You know, this is going to be on another computer, so I'm not going to be able to show it to you. But I've got a high-res satellite. You know what's interesting is the blow-off from the clouds from this, like stuff near Columbus, might be enough to delay it. That might be the one. That might be what delays, because you're getting some clouds. I'm looking at some high-res satellite stuff. You're getting some clouds kind of going this way. The actual storm is heading toward Columbus, but the clouds are heading this way, and that's going to be enough to probably keep us capped or clouded up through midday. If those storms weren't there, then we would be wide open. We'd be destabilizing. To answer your question, it might be enough. Our storms aren't what stole the energy, but that extra little cluster. These storms are going to be out of here, and it's trying to clear out on the backside of it. But these clouds blowing off the top of this might be enough, as that continues to weaken and slide south, to be what delays it. Can we be more specific about south of Route 30 this afternoon? Surely I can't. Just because honestly, there's no way of knowing. There's no way of knowing when those storms get triggered. There goes the activity. Now, notice this isn't picking up on this activity. And as it clears this out of here, you see the clearing and a little bit of sun in the mid-80s that are going to try to come back with this. See how it builds it? This is why I was saying it might be a little too early. It's got some sun breaking through by 1 o'clock. This is right on like 1 o'clock, 1:05. And here we go. By 1:30, 1:45, it's starting to show some thunderstorms developing. These won't develop if it's still pretty cloudy, if the clouds from that Columbus batch is still there. So we got to take it with a grain of salt a little bit there. And once it sparks that trigger, the models just say, oh, well, then we're just going to keep going. We're going to keep, it started. The fuse is lit. We're going to keep blowing up storms. Not to say that it doesn't get lit later on, but I am expecting thunderstorms this afternoon. It's just so tough to say when and where the next round is going to start up. We've got that model there that shows that. Let me show you another one. And this is why it's so tricky. You get all these folks that just run by the models. Just show the model, show the model, show the model. I used to do that when I was learning. But the older I get, I don't know. Here, watch this model. Where are the storms? Here's 3 o'clock. There's still nothing around. So, and it blows it up tonight. So it's so, if it starts up, it starts up. If it doesn't, it doesn't, which is very frustrating if you've got plans. You know, if you want to know where these storms are going to be. The only thing you can do Shirley, the only thing you could do is have that plan just in case. You still got to do what you got to do, right? You're still gonna have to go do what you got to do, unless you're working construction or you're roofing or something like that. Don't start a job that can't get wet. Don't you know what I mean? But as far as like doing your day-to-day daily things, your daily errands, you still gotta go to work. You still gotta do what you gotta do. You just gotta have that plan for when those storms do pop up. You're like, here they are, and then you know what you gotta do. So don't let them sneak up on you. All right, back to the radar because these storms are about to get out of here, and then I'm gonna have to end this stream. Yeah, pushing through Carroll County pretty quickly. I would say Tuscarawas County, you're probably pretty much gone. You're pretty much clear. Coshocton County, you don't have any threat for severe. Maybe some small hail near near Plainfield. I said Mansfield. I saw field and just said Mansfield. Plainfield, possibly. There's a lot of lightning. Carroll County. But Tuscarawas County is pretty much quiet. Okay. I'll put a track on it. Waterloo, Bowerston, Lakeshore Park, Bergholtz. Hopefully I said that right. Oh, scroll out a little bit. Come on, there you go. All right. Yeah, pretty much out of the viewing area. Leading edge out of the viewing area. The back edge, let me get this lightning out of here. The back edge should be clearing out pretty quickly also. Nothing. Okay. Not sure why that showed up with nothing in that scan there. But probably 15, 20 minutes before it's pushing through Carroll County right now. Or through Carrollton. Carrollton's pretty much done with it. Cool. Look at some reports, some storm reports. What was the report? 12-inch diameter tree along Route 82 in Brecksville. 38 knot gust. What did it's not showing me the actual report at Burke, because that's going to be a big one. That's going to be a big one. Let's see if I can pull that up. Well, their site's down also or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's get to it. A report of hail. There it is. There's some of that big hail. Ping pong ball size hail. Here's the reports near Akron. These are what I was waiting for to come in. 1 inch, quarter, 60 mile per hour gust, 1 inch, 1 1/4, 1 inch. Okay. So there's that damage. So this is interesting. The reason this is fading is because this is stealing its fuel, stealing its flow, essentially. So this will essentially grow together and make one big line as it rolls through. But, man, Carrollton's getting hit with some pretty big lightning. Quite a bit of it, pretty frequent. But the severe threat for Stone Creek, Janaden, Hutton, Yerricksville, pretty much over. New Philly, technically you're still in the warning, but your threat's over, other than lightning, of course. And I've got the Pittsburgh radar on here, so that's our best look. That looks a bit aggressive just because it's aloft. Again, it's like 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet higher than the actual Pittsburgh's radar, so it looks a bit aggressive. All right, I'm going to stick with you until this storm gets through Carrollton, and then probably going to cut the stream down just because there's not a whole lot of folks on here, and it's really borderline severe. Honestly, I don't even. When you look at Pittsburgh's lower, more relevant radar look, yeah, there's no severe weather with that. A lot of lightning, a lot of rain, maybe some small hail. So that being said, I'm going to wrap up the stream because I think your threat's pretty much over. There's really not a lot, if any, potential for hail left over, at least not up here. Yes, farther south, but outside of our viewing area. So there's your threat. There's your little potential on the leading edge, sliding right on out. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for joining in. That got intense, didn't it? That got intense. We got through it, though. One real quick look at your power map. It's improving. Numbers are getting down. We're starting to see more down here, kind of following that line. But these are improving. These will improve in about an hour or so. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.